In this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about the history behind The Big Short. We're going to talk about Seinfeld and a show about nothing. And we're going to talk about how you can save money and go from zero to hero. Welcome to the Mullooly Asset Show. I'm your host, Tom Mullooly. This is episode number 7, and I think this is also take number 7. We appreciate you watching and subscribing to our show. The questions, the topics that we talk about come from you. They come from questions that we get from our clients. They come from emails. They come from topics that we're talking about with our clients. So if you have a question, do get in touch with us. We'd be happy to to bring it up on a future show. And well, let's just dive right into the questions. Casey, what's first today?
All right, so the first question we got is, what happened with The Big Short? How could a few bad mortgages take down Wall Street?
I don't really know if I'm going to be able to summarize a 30-year history of mortgage bond trading in a short video, so I'll do the best I can. But about 30 years ago, Wall Street figured out a way to take mortgage loans, mortgage investments, and turn them into, or securitize them into bonds. And bond trading over the last 30 years has become a huge area of revenue for banks and Wall Street firms. As the trading volume continued, more and more, this started going into more and more riskier, less high quality stuff. So along the way, companies like AIG, the insurance company, created these things called credit default swaps. They were basically like an insurance policy on bond portfolios. When AIG discovered about 10 years ago that the asset quality behind the bonds wasn't that good, they decided that they weren't going to issue any more credit default swaps. But that's okay. Wall Street firms continued to trade, and they created their own market for credit default swaps even without AIG. So you can imagine, just like, Casey, what's the name of that game? Jenga. Casey, we got to get a picture of Jenga, like put it right up here, okay? So imagine Jenga, we're building this big pile of sticks. What happens when we get a couple of bad mortgages down here at the bottom? You start pulling out little sticks. What's going to happen to the whole thing? It's going to collapse. And we saw the mortgage companies fall apart at the beginning of 2007. We saw Bear Stearns fall apart later on, Lehman Brothers after that, and then it just became a huge, colossal mess. So it really wasn't just a couple of bad mortgages that took down all of Wall Street, but that certainly was part of the trigger. That was really a big deal. The Big Short, great movie, better book. There's also another movie, I haven't seen it on too often, but it was on HBO called Too Big to Fail. And all the political reasoning aside, that was actually a pretty good movie. They did a good job in setting up what happened in September of 2008. So pretty good references. Good question. So I wish we had more time to talk about that. But Casey's bugging me because we got to get to the next question. So what is it?
Next up, we got someone who wants to know, what did you mean that 2015 is a Seinfeld year?
So I wrote in an email to clients recently that 2015 is going to be the Seinfeld year. If you remember, if you watched Seinfeld, they used to laugh and say that it was a show about nothing. And it was just people, a couple of friends hanging out and what they did on a regular day. And that was what the show was about. It was really about nothing. 2015 looks like it's going to wrap up the year with a nothing kind of return. It's interesting. January 2nd, the first day of trading in 2015, the S&P 500 was at 2058, 2058. We're recording this on December 29th, so there's now 2 days left in the year, and the S&P 500 is at 2078. That's just 20 points. That's less than 1%, so it's up. Yesterday, the market for the year was down 0.1%. So today it's up 0.9%. The Dow Jones is pretty close. The Dow Jones is down about 105 points for the year. So that's down about 0.5%. So 2015 has been a year about nothing. It's been a year of no returns if you're an index investor. It's a good way to think about it. But, you know, occasionally we do get these years where nothing really happens. Everybody in the market will probably remember 2008 as being a terrible year. 2009 was a very good year. 2010 was also okay. But 2011 came along, and again, we had a year about nothing where same kind of situation as what we're going through right now. The gain or loss for the year all happened in the last couple of trading sessions of the year. We went back and forth. At one point in 2011, the market was down 20%. So we had a pretty furious rally in the fourth quarter, but we finished the year flat. Again, another year about nothing, and then we had a couple of good years, and here we are, another year about nothing. So hopefully that clears up your question about the Seinfeld year 2015. Casey, what's next?
Next question we got is, I'm just getting started. How can I save $20,000?
You know, we have clients who, when we finally get down to brass tacks and we talk about, you know, real life money situations, they admit we're not really good at saving money. We're not really good at putting money away. I'm borrowing money from my parents for a down payment, or I'm trying to figure out a way to just get my hands on some extra money. So I just want to walk you through how to go from zero to hero in a relatively short period of time. We had a conversation with someone recently, and they were like, I need to save $20,000. That was their goal. That's what they had in mind, but they had no idea how to get to it. So I was like, okay, what do you want to start with? Well, I've got $2,000 today. Okay, here's how we do it, real easy. What do you spend on lunch every day? And he said, 8, 9, sometimes $10 on lunch. So I said, okay, here's what you do. $2,000, put it away right now. If you can sock $10 away every day, that's 30 days in a month, that's $300 a month. If you can find a way to set aside $300 a month, in 60 months, do the math, that's 18 grand plus the 2 you started with, now you're at 20 grand. And people say, oh, 5 years, I can't wait that long. You know what? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because it's hard for me to tell you, if you're sitting there watching this video and you don't have any savings, it's hard for me to explain to you the feeling that's inside of you when you've got 10 grand, 15 grand, $20,000 sitting in the bank, and someone says, we're putting together a group of us and we're going to go to Cabo in the spring. We're going to go away for spring break. It's going to cost you $2,500. You've worked really hard to save that money. Now you're going to start to think, hey, do I really want to blow 7 or 8 months of my savings for a week? Sure, it would be a lot of fun, but the point I'm trying to make is it changes your mindset about what you want to spend money on. From the flip side, when you have, something that we alluded to on an earlier episode was, you got to have that safety net. When you've got $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 socked away, and you have some kind of minor emergency and you need to put your hands on $2,000 or $2,500, it's not a deal breaker. It's not something that's going to put you behind the 8 ball. And so having a little bit of money behind you really does change your thinking. It changes your mindset. And that's really, really important. So you may not reach your goal, but just starting the practice of putting money away on a monthly basis is going to be so rewarding for you. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from a buddy of mine in the Navy. I had told him, this goes back 25 years ago, and I had said, oh, I just finished paying off my car. He goes, okay, I'm going to give you a little advice. Take that $346.50 and send it to me. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, put it in the bank. He goes, get it out of your hands and continue to make that car payment. Even though you've paid off the car, continue to make that payment every single month. You're going to be surprised in 3 or 4 years, you're going to have a car that you want to trade in, plus you're going to have all that money saved for a new car. It was really good advice, and I'm glad I listened to him. Thanks, Fred. So it's something that I try and share that with young clients and people just starting out. Do whatever you can to save money. Take care of yourself and pay yourself. So that's all we've got for today. Thanks again for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, or send us an email, or hey, find us out on Twitter. Okay, thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.